Hello. Oh, there we are. Hey. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming by to see what we're up to. Well, Katie's smiling. That's all that matters. If you're smiling, I'm good. That's good. Thank you very much. So, all right. So, we've got a few things to show you here. What we're going to do here at the stage here at the NTCA. Thanks you very much for Tile Council and the National Tile Contractors Association inviting us to come here and talk a little bit. What we wanted to show you, some of the newer stuff isn't even out yet. So let's consider this a sneak peek of our previews of coming attractions. So these will be coming out here a little later in the year. So we wanted to give you a little heads up on some of the stuff. I think our session is called Drains or something like that. What do we call this? I didn't even forget what we titled this. Something about, what is it called? Drain options. Well, there you go. Well, we have different drain options. And if you're familiar with flexibility, well, that really leads into this one. We've got drains, and we've had drains out for quite a while. Matter of fact, Schluter Systems is understood and known to be the pioneer of bringing out an integrated bonding flange. And what that did to the industry is really changed things up. Prior to Schluter Systems having an integrated bonding flange called the Curdy drain, the only drains that were afforded to us in the tile industry were from the plumbing industry, and they were designed to go under the mortar bed at the clamping ring, under the mud. What the tile industry really needed, because we were trying to move towards surface waterproofings versus the old water in, water out pan liner type, we needed a drain that accommodated the surface waterproofing up at the surface, not underneath the mud job. So that's when Mr. Schluter developed that Curdy drain. The integrated bonding flange is what it's actually called in the Tile Council of North America handbook. That's more of a generic term. What that allowed us to do was take any of the surface waterproofings, whether it's sheet applied, trowel applied, liquid applied, they now had a bonding flange. They also had their own drain housing that would accommodate the surface waterproofing. So it was really the missing link. It was the part that really completed the system. And once that was out on the market, it allowed all the tile installers to really start doing a full comprehensive approach to surface waterproofing. Well, we continue on to develop those, and you may be familiar that a few years back we came out with our line drains. So we've had line drains on the market for quite some time now. The nice thing about our drains, whether they're the line drains or the central point Curdy drains, they'll go with our preformed trays, or you can put them in a mortar bed. You can still pack to a mortar bed, so they are flexible that way. So what we wanted to do now is show you our new drain. Again, not even out on the market yet, so sneak peek for all of you folks. It's actually called the Vario drain. And that's because you can vary, and it's a variable as far as the length. So we make a couple of different lengths of the main piece, but you can cut them to fit. You can cut them to length, because when you go to a line drain, you should try to get that drain as far as end to end as possible. Because what we're doing with line drains is we have one flat plane of an area. You can see it here. Todd's got a little section we're going to show you here. This is one flat plane that's sloping down to this channel area here. You can kind of see the taper in the edge there. So what that allows you to do is use any size tile you want to use on these trays. And that's really the benefit to the consumer, to the designer, where they don't want to change from the large format tile that they're putting out on the main bathroom floor. They don't want to change to a smaller format tile to go into the shower. And if you have a point drain that's sloping from all the directions in, then of course you're limited by the size tile you can actually put on that shape. And that's where the benefit of this was. You're not limited to any size. You can put, this could be one big tile, just you could put on here. So that was really the benefit of the line drains. But our drains that are out there, of course, come in 4-inch increments from 20 inches clear up to 72 inches. So you can get fairly close to the edge, but in some cases you want to go really end to end. So what we did is develop this drain called a Vario. So you still use our trays that are designed for our line drains, our Curdy line. You can see here it's got the various increments where you cut it to go to the size of your shower and the length of your drain. In this one, you're only going to cut out of this dimension. And where we got that dimension is from the support that goes on this vario housing, which goes on like this on the underside. You're going to put a little dab of thin set or caulking on there to hold that in place. And then this is going to be thin setted to the floor inside of this cutout that's going to go back here when our hole's at the back wall. This is where we're going to place it here. So that's what we're showing. So I guess we can go ahead and put that in there, Todd, to show. And we've got another section over here where we tiled it so you can get a better idea of it. But this is actually the drain housing right here. This little piece here is the drain housing. And like so many of our line drains, it comes with the Curdy collar already attached, so that waterproofing has been done to the drain body, and it is threaded. So PVC, ABS, even a metal, and what you're going to get in the box is a couple of those fittings in both PVC and ABS that will actually thread right on here. We'll Teflon tape or some goop, of course, and put that on there to get that sealed up. So those will come in here. So we're showing that. If you look at this, it's hard to see. I don't know if any of you can see this. Can you get a, no? No? Look, I'm going to move around on the cameraman, and he's going to have a real dickens of a time trying. Here, follow me. No, if you look at this, sorry. If you look at this, this is offset. This tailpiece comes out offset from the drain body so we can get it right up close to the wall. Because we really don't want to have a piece of tile behind the wall tile that's coming down the vertical. So that will go in that place. As I said, dab a thin set under it, over it to hold it in place. A little thin set in here. Of course, we thin set our trays down. We had this one dry so we can take it on and off so you can come play with it. And then that just goes in. And again, just like all of our systems, this goes in with thin set and you laminate that all in and that's ready to go. So that's that part here. Now this is the part that you would actually cut to different sizes. That always stays the same. So, a couple of components here. We've got the drain channel. So it's a stainless steel drain channel. This started life at 48 inches, correct? This is one of our 48 inchers. So actually Todd's cut this down a little bit to fit in our display here.
It's off center.
Right, it's off center, which is nice because if you find when you come out to put your drain in and you're like, oh darn it, there's a joist right there, just flip it around. And then because it's off center, you can avoid the joist that happens to be there to cut your hole in the floor. So that drops in. And oh, let me show them that other piece before we get too far. There's this little collar that fits on the underside of that you just put on with a little double face tape. You got to remember, folks, when we put one of these systems together, this is a continuous waterproof envelope before this assembly even goes in here. Once you put this drain body in and use the Curdy collar and get that all done and around the perimeter, you're now watertight. So we don't really, we're not that concerned about a little water getting by this because it's not going to go anywhere. But we do put that little collar on there to help promote the water that runs here in the channel to go, most of it to go right down the drain body. So we're going to put that in there, again offset. Now we have put some tile in here already. We typically ask you to go ahead and put the channel in place, mark it with a pencil or a Sharpie, and then remove it and do your tile work across the whole tray. And you probably already have the tile on the walls. So you could have this all tiled so you know right where to put the channel. Then you tile that, and then you're going to actually put the drain channel in. And you will put that, like all of our drain bodies, you're going to butter that up with thin set and place that in there to make certain it's firmly embedded and supported and maybe even leveled up a little bit the way you want it. It goes in, and then you won't even put the grate in until you're all done grouting. And once you're all done grouting and maybe even putting a bead of caulking back here, you can see here we're actually using one of our profiles that eliminates the need to caulk where you change in planes. So we're using that there instead, but that would be your option to either go with a pre-manufactured movement joint or put some sealant back there to seal that up to promote the water to really fall into the channel. Get it all done, and then the last thing you do is actually put the drain grate in. We give you this handy dandy little tool that comes in there that allows you to pull that out so you can do any service to that if you need to. So that's how the system works. So you cut these down to length, and we actually have and have had for a number of years in our product line a non-bluing metal blade that you can chuck into your regular 4-inch angle grinder. It's called a Pro Cut TSM blade. You'll see it in our catalog. It is a nice blade. We import those from Germany because they are a non-bluing blade when you use those to cut these things, which means if you know anything about the metal, when it gets superheated, it'll actually start to turn that blue color from the heat, and this blade won't allow that. So you can actually use those to cut this to fit. This piece just fits in between your tile or wall-to-wall and tile on top of it, your option. And then there's an end cap that fits on each end of this thing to finish it off nicely if you actually are so inclined to put that in. So that goes in place. So now you can have a drain that actually does fit exactly wall to wall, and you don't have to be so close when you go to look at our chart and order our line drain and go, did I order the right one? Am I exactly as close to end? You just go, I'll buy this one, I'll cut it to my exact fit. Because a lot of times you don't know really what your width is going to be when everything's said and done, right? There could be a little variable in there to change things around, so we want to make certain you can get that end to end if you want. So that's what the Vario drain is all about. So that's kind of new. That's going to give you a lot of flexibility in place there. So another drain you might not be aware of because it hasn't been out that terribly long, but we did want to show it to you. It's a floor drain. So we're very clever at Schluter as far as naming stuff. So since it's a floor drain, we're going to call this the F drain. Does that make sense? Yeah, we're that creative. We really are. So anyway, the nice thing about this drain, if you're familiar with our Curdy drain, our point load drain, or our center drain, it has a 12-inch flange, bonding flange on it. And a lot of time you can't get that drain close enough to a wall because of the size of the flange. There's also places, because of the way the flange is built, it has a bit of a pitch to it to keep the water moving towards the drain. What we found in many cases where we're using a front placement line drain, there will be a requirement, and it changes all over the country and even from county to county. You might need to have an ancillary drain outside your shower when you've removed the curb and the wall and the shower door. So we brought this out for that purpose, but it can actually be your drain that's in your shower if you have an odd place where you actually put your drain, or where there may be core drilled on a commercial job or something like that. So we've brought out this F drain, and you can see here it's a very small housing, very small flange, and it's very thin and has no pitch down to it, so it's going to lay nice and flat. And of course it has the Curdy collar on it already, so you're going to be able to waterproof onto the Ditra. So there you go, Todd. I'm not to be trusted with this type of stuff. There, see? You need to be highly skilled to do that move right there, folks. I'll let you know right now. So that's why Todd's up here. Not just to just look pretty. He's got another job besides that. So that would be somewhere out in the field. Now, I put one of these into my house, and it's underneath my washing machine in my laundry room. Perfect, because there was a disaster tray. Now, my wife didn't really like the disaster tray because it didn't allow her to get the front of the washer and dryer perfectly lined up because of where the disaster tray is, and I guess that's just unacceptable. Those need to be perfectly lined up. So it was nice to take the disaster tray out, and I already had the pipe there underneath the washing machine, and I was able to put one of these in with the Ditra and fold that out, do the seams with the Ditra, floor-to-wall connection all the way around the perimeter of my laundry room. I even put a marble threshold in the door as a little bit of a dam so that the water wouldn't flow out into the hallway, and I was able to put one of these in instead of the disaster tray. So there's another nice option that you could use. But we wanted to show you a center placement or anywhere in the floor placement, but then this is another one where we really heard this from architects and engineers that said, the drain's really up against the wall somewhere, or maybe even an inside corner here, and your other flange is too big. Can we cut that flange? And we're like, we really don't want you to cut that flange because that's the bonding area for your waterproof to tie into the drain. So let's not do that, but we have an alternative. This is the flexibility that you get out of this drain. It can be right on an inside corner. It could be anywhere along the wall, or even here, we're actually showing it as an absolute inside corner where these two pieces of Curdy go up the wall. And then these would lay out onto the floor. So that's a nice flexibility. And of course it comes with different drain grates. If it's going to be exposed, you can put it there. So anywhere on the floor, it's nice and flat, it's going to catch that extra water. Or if it is actually in a shower tray, you could use this too. you could put this there in lieu of your regular drain. Use this one because the flow rate meets the same flow rate as required, actually exceeds it by quite a bit, just like our other Curdy drains do, whether it's a line drain or a point drain. So this will actually suffice as the main drain in your bathroom too, if you have an odd spot where they've actually put the pipe in already. So that's nice for you as far as flexibility. You don't have to be moving the plumbing around as far as the waistline to put in a shower where there was maybe something else. So you know how that is. If you get into multi-rise housing where it's actually concrete slabs that are post-tension or precast concrete, the structural ones, you can't core drill, you can't move that drain around. It has to pretty much be wherever they put it initially. So this is kind of nice for that too. And you can slope, you can pack your pan like we've been doing for decades in the tile industry with your sand and cement mortar to create your slope down to the drain. You would do the same thing right to this, and this would be your drain. And of course in there, you might just go ahead and lay this out onto another piece of Curdy that goes over your entire shower pan instead of on a Dietra. But Dietra, Curdy, it doesn't matter to us, you can use either one. So a lot of flexibility in that case. And this is just a protective cover, because a lot of time this goes in long before you get there as a tile setter. So this does come. See, there's another skill, folding that up again. It's like folding up a map once you've opened it up. Did I just date myself by saying map that you fold up? Did I just do that? I'm sorry. Now, you guys are like, yeah, I remember maps. I remember a map. So anyway, that'll cover that all up. So in case that's done long before you show up, you can actually put this cover in and that'll protect that till you get there on the job. So that's another nice little thing to have that. Okay, so that's really about those two newer drains. That one's been out for a little while. You can actually get the F drain right now from all of your distributors, from your suppliers. The Vario, I wish I could tell you a due date, but they told me that I can't tell you because I don't know. Because I don't think they know exactly when it's out. We're just gonna say a little later in the year. How's that? Don't even hold me to summer. Could be fall, but anyway, preview, we wanted to show you about that. What else are we gonna show here? Todd? Oh yeah, we're gonna do that. All right. You might not be familiar with this profile, or maybe you will. We've had a profile out for a while called a Finec profile, and the reason we use the Finec term is because it's a very fine little profile. It doesn't take up a lot of space, you don't see it a lot, and it really blends in. The nice thing about the Finec is it didn't matter how thick your tile was or how thick your bond coat was under the tile. This is always the size of the profile, regardless of what the tile size is and so forth. So it makes for a very unobtrusive, small, fine line to finish that off. So this one actually is called the Finec SQ. Because what this one allows you to do, it's got an outside corner button, so no mitering to be done. And also, when you actually butt the tile up to it, you know, many of you that are tile setters will appreciate this. If you have to do an outside corner with a profile, in many cases what you needed to do was actually back cut the tile at an angle, like a 45, off the back side of the tile so you could get it close enough to the profile. Well, you have to be very exacting about where that blade hits that tile, because if it kind of rides up onto the edge of the tile, a lot of time it'll chip, and that doesn't look good. The nice thing about this SQ is you only have to take out, I don't know, the bottom third, maybe half at the most, of the back side of the tile, so you don't even encroach on that vulnerable top corner of the edge of the tile. You're just hacking off a little bit out the bottom, so it's something that can be done very quickly. You don't necessarily need to wet saw. Again, I think a 4-inch angle grinder with a dry blade, and you can just scarf the back out by flipping the tile over and just clearing enough of the material out, and you can slide it right up against there. And again, doesn't matter what the thickness of the tile is or how thick your bond coat is, that's all you're going to see. So the design community loves this because they don't want a big, heavy, clunky profile because the tiles get real big. Or even a lot of the thin panel that they're showing over here at NTCA and up here on the stage. With the thin panel, by the time you actually add the bond coat thickness, you're actually in a pretty big profile. And a lot of time the design community goes, wow, I was hoping for something that didn't show so much. So this is really kind of a key. So this is new. You probably don't know about that one. The other new element as far as the profile is you probably are familiar with our profiles called Sheen and Jolly. which are 90-degree angles, been around forever. Actually, the name of the company for Schluter when it started, since he only had one product, was Sheen. That was the name of the company, Schluter Sheen. But once he started making Ron deck and all of these other profiles for edge protection and transitions to adjacent coverings and alternatives to trim, because there's very little trim available, then he changed it to Schluter Systems when he brought out Dietra and Kurdi. So anyway, so this has been out for a while. This is called Jolly, and you're probably familiar with Jolly and Sheen, but this is called Jolly with the new shape. It's now a 90-degree angle. If you are familiar with our Sheen, it actually tips back towards the tile 3 degrees. So it's an 87-degree angle, not a 90, which allowed us to actually create a lot of durability into that product, even if it got point loaded. But what we wanted to do here was straighten it up and make it a 90 so we could put buttons. We could now do a nice outside corner that's going to be clean. No more mitering here either. So come by the booth and learn a little bit more about the Jolly 90. So all the Jolly will be transitioning through the rest of this year to this particular product. So that's kind of a nice one. We wanted to show you that. Oh, yeah, let's show them that. You might be familiar, this is, again, sneak peek. It's not out on the market yet, but we'll have it out here soon, is we'll actually have our niches, which you're probably familiar with. We have pre-manufactured niches in various sizes and dimensions, but what we're now offering is a lighted profile. So now you have a LED profile that you can put in the niche to get that nice design element in there, and I just wanted to show you, that's the actual lighted profile. Isn't that crazy? That's all it is right there, and that actually lights up. We have quite a few of them in our booth. It's straight back over there, a couple of rows. So you can come take a look at those too. So this is a little piece that tucks into one of our profiles that you tuck up into the top layer, or up on the top level of a niche that goes up in there. Modular plug that plugs in to a cable that looks like this. Should I open this? Should I dare? Will I get to try? Oh, that didn't open well. It's kind of like my beef jerky bags. They never tear right, do they? Yeah, so we make these cables in various lengths, of course. That's that little piece that fits in to the end of that. And then the other end, got a bigger modular piece here. And that will go into 2 places. What Todd has in his hand right there is our dimmer switch. Right? So, and this actually is a dimmer switch that's specifically made for this setup here. This actually drops the voltage from 120 to 24. 24, yeah, 24, yeah. 120 to 24. Actually all encased in that. So single gang box that goes in, that does it. But if you want to use any other dimmer in your house, just one that you pick up at a supply house or anything, we actually have this. And the nice thing about this is it actually has the step down transformer right in here and goes in this box, and this can be put remotely. You can put this down in the basement. Like I live in Kansas City, Missouri, so we have basements there. And my service panel for electrical is down in the basement. So this would go down there right next to the service panel, and then we'd actually just run low voltage through the house to get to wherever I'm going to put the lights. This is just one of the things we're going to do here. We started with the niches and just our 12-inch wide niches, but we are going to continue to broaden this product line. And if you go to any of our European websites for Schluter, you'll find on those that we do have other types of things. We have long strips that you can do like under counter lighting up under your backsplash and so forth. So this is our first baby step in the US and Canada, is to bring this out. So this actually is a step down, or that's a step down in voltage too. Just depends on what you're doing. So kind of neat. Again, coming out a little later this year. So we wanted to make you aware of those. And like I said, we do have some of these already lit up in our booths. So come by and take a look at them. We selected a particular type of light and lumen that gives you a really clean color light that you'll appreciate when you see it over there. So keep that in mind too. So there's the light, isn't that crazy? So that'll go right up in there into the channel that goes up on the underside of your niche, and you can either use the step down rheostat or dimmer, or you can use a regular dimmer and a step down box like that. You can daisy chain these and put a bunch of them in there, because you'll go into the booth, I think we have 6 or 8 of them in there, something like that. So they're all run together, so you could actually daisy chain those all into just one box, which makes it really nice and convenient too. So I think that's it, right? That's all the new stuff. So again, just a preview, a quick preview. Just stay tuned for when the Vario actually hits the market. We'll certainly let you know. We'll release that and let everybody know, all of our customers and of course our suppliers and so forth, and our retailers will know about when the Vario comes out, when the lighted profile niches are available. Those are available already. The F-drain I showed you is already available. So I think we're done here. How did we do?
Good.
You feel comfortable?
Did we sell it?
You good? All right. Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.